If one gets to talk about Might and Magic, Heroes should come to mind. With its sixth release last October, the franchise should be known to most gamers at least by its name. However, Heroes of Might and Magic are pure strategy games, but the universe has far more than that to offer. Some of the better known titles are Dark Messiah and Clash of Heroes. Not too many remember or seem to even know the role-playing games though, that initially forged the franchise and produced 9 games in total from 1986 to 2002. Now, in particularly interesting topic for this video will be Might and Magic VI, VII and VIII, because all 3 games were made within a very short time frame of just 2 years, so it does make sense to look into all of them at the same time, because they don't show much technical advancement, and once you see the footage you will clearly see why that is. Might and Magic RPGs can be cut short to the following plot. As the game begins, you must create a party of young adventurers. Once that is done, you do easy tasks and get sent into larger cities in different places. You explore caves and dungeons and you fight all sorts of different creatures, constantly upgrading your levels and skills. Towards the showdown, usually someone threatens to destroy the world and you must prevent that from happening. Also, a portion of sci-fi loves to unfold at the very end, which might seem odd for a medieval type based game, but I admit I never fully understood what that was all about. This party creation process is half of the fun, as it allows you to decide absolutely everything. What classes you like, if you prefer females or males, you can give them names, even customize their appearances and voices. Sure, customization, as far as it goes with a game of the 90s, is rather simple, so don't expect too much, but it's something. So at all times you have multiple characters to control, each with their own individual strengths and weaknesses. Everybody needs to be taken care of, trained, skilled, equipped and so forth. Decisions must be made. Who's learning what and who's mastering which skill? Some skills are good to have for everybody, some are not. You will be cursed, infected, poisoned, get drunk, get killed, burnt to ashes. The list is endless. All conditions that you will have to handle. If you love party RPGs with huge planning and managing possibilities, this will be a fun game for you. Might and Magic was never known for top-notch graphics, and to be honest, parts 6 to 8 haven't really aged as well as their prequels did. The resolution is extremely low, and the sprites are ugly on large displays. That shouldn't hinder you when people play games like Minecraft these days, am I right? With the release of Might and Magic VI in 1998, the publisher 3DO pushed the developing studio, New World Computing, hard for annual releases, and that clearly showed. Both companies went bankrupt in 2003 when Might and Magic IX was out and sold horrifically. Right after that, Ubisoft obtained the license, which they then had been using for many games, none of them though being core RPGs. The Mandate of Heaven, Might and Magic VI's subtitle, was very important for the franchise. It was the first game in the series with a 3D environment, and it also allowed real-time combat for the first time. It was highly anticipated by its fans. All previous titles had been 2D with Super VGA graphics only and turn-based fighting. It's considered the holy grail and best game overall in the series. At least that is what you likely are going to hear if you ask a Might and Magic fanboy. Obviously, when Might and Magic VII came out a year later, and it was superior in almost any regard, this statement could no longer be held up. However, Might and Magic VII turned out to be pretty much the same game, so the novelty bonus goes to Might and Magic VI. Some people had changed their opinion though. Might and Magic VII has more classes and brought races back, it had better item and monster balance, more skills, and it just overall feels more refined than Might and Magic VI. At some point, you will get into a fork in the road and are to choose between a light path and a dark path, and that will change the outcome of the story, and also you will have different quests. That means a higher replay value on top of the fact that you can mix and set up your party. Like one time you go with 2 knights, a mage and a druid, and the other time you will head out with a monk, 2 clerics and a thief, and the experience will be completely different. Also, the games are not straight linear. I mean, of course there's a story and quests connected to it that you will have to do eventually, but there are so many side objectives to do, like class upgrades, treasure hunts, and location-based quests that are simply there for you to make golden experience. So it will take you a while to see everything. Now I know that all of this doesn't really sound special at all. I mean, you get this with every role-playing game nowadays, but these were the late 90s, it was quite awesome and not seen often what Might and Magic provided back then. Might and Magic VIII, The Day of the Destroyer, was a letdown and it did sell poorly. Again, same engine, only a few changes, and not all of them were good. However, Might and Magic VIII is interesting in its own right. You may only create one character. The other 4 slots in the party are filled by pre-created NPCs that are scattered all over the place, and some of them will only join you if you do certain quests first. These NPCs will become playable characters just as the other ones in the previous games, but they can be switched out at any time for other NPCs. That somewhat relates back to Might and Magic III, where you had mercenaries in towns that you could hire for gold. It's a nice touch, but it wasn't liked by the fans that much. It took the control away that you had over your own created heroes, and some of the NPCs were badly statted. So what eventually happened is people played the game with only that character that they had created themselves, which was then done with all the other games as well after that. Well, what can you do if there's a lack of a sequel and you just love these games and you want a new challenge? Aside from that, Might and Magic VIII was weak and only had one decent thing about it: its choosable characters, which were a combination of race and class. Like a knight was always human and so on. There were all kinds of different classes to choose from, like vampires, dragons, minotaurs, trolls, and so on. And seriously, what's more awesome than having a dragon in your party? Like, you cannot do this in any other Might and Magic game. And then Might and Magic IX saw the light of day. Now, most fans will happily deny the existence of that game, though it finally had a new engine and all, but it changed so many things to the worse. Also, the game was mostly unplayable. An emergency patch was made, but the companies involved went bankrupt shortly after, leaving the game a broken mess. The players were able to fix most of the bugs though in so-called community patches. Now, with Might and Magic VIII and IX being such failures in all regards, Might and Magic X was never announced ever. And the universe as it was portrayed with the Might and Magic RPGs was supposedly destroyed with Heroes 4, which again is the strategy branch of the franchise. So a Might and Magic X isn't really possible. However, Ubisoft could always just reboot the franchise. I mean, a lot of other companies are doing it. Why couldn't you do it as well? I mean, a lot of people would die to see a Might and Magic X or a new Might and Magic overall RPG. And it wouldn't be much of a risk for Ubisoft either. I mean, they just need to take what was good with the previous games and, put it all together in a nice mix and have it par with today's standards in RPGs. That's all you would really have to do. Maybe, and this is just a conclusion that I came up with after thinking about this for a long time, maybe Ubisoft is just fearing the competition of BioWare and all the other companies around, so they don't really give a try. Also, after all these years, the interest in a proper sequel or reboot might have just died out. I don't know.